Hello, my name is Diane, and today I want to talk about some of the books coming out in January. I have 7 books to talk about today, so I'm just gonna get right into it. The first book coming out on January 7th is Immortal by Su Lin Tan. This follows a main character who is the heir to the throne, and she ascends to the throne after her grandfather dies, and as she does so, vows to end their obligation to the Immortals and also get revenge for what happened to her grandfather against the people that she blames for his death. She is then summoned to the Immortal realm, and she takes this opportunity to find out their secrets, figure out a way to break her kingdom's ties to them, and to do so forms an alliance with the god of war, who she knows she probably shouldn't be making ties with. So with the fate of her kingdom at risk, she has to try and find a way to save her people through this dangerous bond with an immortal. Sounds intriguing, sounds pretty interesting. Also coming out on January 7th is All the Water in the World by Iron Caffel. This follows a young girl who the glaciers have melted, and she and her family live in New York City, which is basically abandoned. They have formed a settlement on the roof of the Natural Museum of History. There, they try to maintain the exhibits, taking only what they need from them and from the city. However, a storm comes that breaches the flood walls surrounding the city, and they are forced to flee, taking with them a book that contains the records of all of the exhibits that were in the museum. And along the way, they encounter other settlements of people and seeing how they have managed to survive. I tend to stay away from climate science fiction, but this sounds like it will be an interesting look at not only what humans try to hang on to as we advance, but also how adaptable humans are in the face of these major changes. As the world changes, we have to change too to keep up and to survive. And I think this should be an interesting look at what this girl and her family have managed to hang on to in trying to preserve the history of humanity, but also in seeing the other people, how they've managed to advance and adapt to live in the world that they live in now. Also coming out on January 7th is The Starlight Heir by Emily Howard. This follows a girl who is a blacksmith, and she is talented in that she can imbue magic into the things she crafts. And one day she receives an invitation to go to the capital city, in which she assumes is to be a potential bride for the prince. When she gets there, she finds out that it was actually from the prince's illegitimate brother, who is looking for the Star Keeper, which is a girl that is rumored to have the magic of the stars in her blood. There is a lot of tension within the city between the nobles and the rebels that are planning something, and when the rebels finally attack, we find our main character and this illegitimate brother on the run together, trying to find out if she could possibly be this Star Keeper with her magical talents, what secrets this brother might have, and the growing attraction between them, all with the addition of a dark god that they have caught the attention of. Then coming out on January 14th is Level Unknown by David Dalglish. This is a lit RPG following a main character who discovers this magical world, but he can only get there in his dreams. So when he falls asleep, he is transported to this world, and in it he is seen as a demonic presence by all of the monsters that inhabit it, and so they always attack him on sight. If he dies in this world, he does wake up, but eventually he's just going to die for real. However, somewhere in this magical world is the key to saving humanity within the real world. So he has to keep trying and figure out a way to level up to be able to find whatever that thing is. I've never read any lit RPGs, although I have had a few recommended to me over the years. So when I heard about this one, I think the plot sounds interesting enough, and I know that I like David Dalglish's writing, as I've read his series previously. So I feel like this is a great chance to finally try one. It sounds like it should be a lot of fun. Also coming out on January 14th is Water Moon by Samantha Sato Yambao. This story takes place in Tokyo, and we see our main character who has just taken over this pawn shop that only appears to certain people when they need it, and there they can go. and pawn off their biggest regret in life. Her first morning as the new owner, however, the pawn shop is ransacked and the most precious item within it is missing, as is her father. After this, a stranger comes into the shop who is not looking to sell one of his regrets. He's actually offering to help her, and so together they embark on this magic-filled journey of trying to locate her father and find this thing that was stolen. Then on January 28th, we have At the Bottom of the Garden by Camilla Bruce. This follows a woman who is a killer, and she has buried her victims at the bottom of her garden, and one day after her sister and her brother-in-law are killed on their anniversary trip, she becomes the caretaker for her two nieces. Our main character doesn't like children, has no particular interest in them. However, she legally has to take care of them now, and she's also very interested in acquiring their fortune. And then she finds out there is a problem in that one of the girls can see the ghosts of her victims and also bring them back into existence. Not a good thing for our main character, so she has to figure out how to deal with these girls and how to keep her secrets buried. And the final book, also coming out on January 28th, is The Outcast Mage by Annabelle Campbell. As well as a main character who is studying at this magic academy. However, she has been unable to get her powers under control, and she's at the risk of either getting exiled and losing her powers entirely, or losing herself to her powers if she can't keep them contained. After an incident that is only making things worse for her, the most powerful living mage agrees to take her on as a student and teach her how to control her powers, risking his own reputation and his place at the academy. And he also introduces his own enemies into trying to stop this student from learning to control her powers and making him look bad and ruining him as well. So together they have to figure out how to get her to control her powers. Sounds like the main plot of this is going to be fairly contained, but I think as things progress and we learn more about our main characters, the story is going to expand and there's going to be other things going on within the world that are going to affect them and their efforts to get these powers under control. Those are all the books that I'm looking forward to that are coming out in January. Let me know which book you're most anticipating, whether it's one of these or something else. Otherwise, that's all for me today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.